Palestine, from the river to the sea.
Palestine will be free.
From the river to the sea.
Palestine will be free.
From the river to the sea.
Palestine will be free.
So today we're here to hold a vigil for those that have died as a result of Israeli occupation, of Israeli oppression and Israeli apartheid. An apartheid which is facilitated and empowered either through open support from the likes of the USA, France and even our own government here in the UK, or from others looking the other way. We hear you, Palestine. We see you, Palestine. We hold your right to exist and return. We are here today also to demonstrate our solidarity with those of our sisters and brothers who are today still living under the oppression, occupation and apartheid regime, which openly hates and despises those they are supposed to care for and protect under international law. We hear you, Palestine. We see you, Palestine. We uphold your right to exist and return. Today we are here to stand with all people who are oppressed in the world. When the media and their political and corporate masters tell us that the stateless Palestinians have clashed with the Israelis who are just defending themselves and their families from those nasty Arab terrorists, they are lying. When the Israeli occupation force and illegal settlers attack and destroy housing, whole villages, farms and business in the Gaza, the West Bank and East Jerusalem, when they tell us the Israeli occupation force are simply reacting in a reasonable and proportionate way to Arab resistance, they are lying. Every year we see brutal and deliberate attacks at Al-Aqsa on people who simply want to carry out acts of devotion and worship. They no longer even try to justify it because the world allows it to happen without sanction. Every generation they radicalise swathes of young Palestinian children to hate Israelis and those who allow this to continue without challenge. But also every generation they also radicalise swathes of young Jewish children to hate and oppress Arabs, Muslims, Christians and secular alike. They teach them it is their birthright to occupy, oppress and attack their fellow human beings. This is the ongoing tragedy of Palestine today. We hear you, Palestine. We see you, Palestine. We uphold your right to resist and return. But what can you do, I ask? So doing nothing is not an option. So where to start? Well, you've already begun. You're here today showing solidarity with your sisters and brothers in Palestine. Now you can join a louder, organised voice. We hear you, Palestine. We see you, Palestine. We uphold your right to exist and return.
Thank you first of all for coming, giving up your time. Thank you to all the people who are here, who are listening. It's important to get facts, important to get the knowledge. Then you can make up your mind. This is the whole point of education. What I want to say is that just recently, I've held this up because this place, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, has a very special place in the lives of my family. My husband, Dr. Tawfiq Shelly, is here. He went to Palestine like all young people did at that time in 1966. As teenagers, they went and they saw, they learned, crossed borders without any problem. We can't do that anymore. And there he felt in Al-Aqsa Mosque. We've got photos, or he has photos of that, which I've seen, where he felt it drawn towards Islam. And then, of course, he had the knowledge, and then he became a Muslim. That's another story. But, so this is very important. If somebody would hold that for me, because I don't want to put you on the floor. Now, what happened here, this Al-Aqsa Mosque is the place for the Muslim. This is education, where we believe that the Prophet went up to heaven, across the heavens, and when he came back, the door knocker was still knocking. As physicists, as scientists, that is possible. But this is what happened recently. These poor people were, all they were doing when they were praying, they were not doing anything else. They were praying. They were saying their namaz. They were saying their prayer. They were doing nothing else. They were not armed. So what does the state of Israel do? It sends the paratroopers. They don't walk there because they had a knowledge from heaven to go there. They were told to go there. These people were doing nothing. This one does work as well. So what does he do? He goes and attacks them. Now, where is the justice in that? There is no justice. This is the state attacking peaceful people doing nothing except praying to the Creator. The Creator who created you, who created me, who created us all. Don't think just the Muslims are under attack in Israel, in Palestine. The Christians are under attack as well. So we have to make sure that we always take the side of the people who have done nothing wrong. They were sitting there quite happily. Somebody decided in Europe that these people can take the land. Tomorrow, as I said to one of my friends, if suddenly the Europe decides that Karachi is the place where perhaps somebody was there 3,000 years ago, before we know it, Pakistan is gone. And so that we have to think of what is actually happening on the ground.
We are here today, as has happened for the last few years. The Israeli apartheid regime has escalated tensions and the brutalization of peaceful workers in Alaska. But it isn't just in the mosque. This has been a continual theme, of people being expelled from their houses and their villages for no reason other than the fact that they are the wrong religion. But as Rizwana said a minute ago, it's not just Muslims that are being targeted here. It's Christians. It's people within the Jewish community itself. Orthodox Jews are constantly being brutalized by the Israeli occupation forces, and you see it all the time. There is nobody that is safe from their brutality, even when we've seen journalists being killed. We've been working for quite a while to try to raise awareness, both locally and nationally, to try to influence legislation, try to influence the two main parties to change their position. All the time that we are able to speak out, we can continue that. There is legislation going through to try to reduce our ability to speak out and stand in solidarity with the people of Palestine. We need to fight that. We need to write to MPs. We need to lobby within our political parties, if you're part of one, to try to make sure that that kind of legislation doesn't go through. We need to support BDS. During Ramadan, people would know that Israeli dates are being missold as Palestinian dates. It's this kind of produce that we need to be targeting and making sure that we are not indirectly supporting the proceeds of apartheid. There can be no doubt that these people know that what they're doing is illegal when they're leaving the UK, moving to the settlements over in occupied West Bank and expelling the local population. Well, they already have been expelled largely, for the settlements to be built. So we also need to start tackling that as a community as well. The reason that the settlements are able to grow is because of the mass migration of people that are not from Israel or Palestine that are moving to the area. That's where all these numbers are coming from. If it was happening elsewhere, we would be looking at this as questionable behaviour that needs to be scrutinised more. But we're not. And we need to start tackling that as well, and we need to start identifying that, if you are knowingly taking your family or moving yourself to settlements that our government identify illegal, that are not the property of the country that you're going to join, we need to start talking about that as well. But we also need to deal with the radicalisation of people moving to illegal settlements. Because if you stem that tide, and if through BDS you're able to stem the financial tide that is propping up that regime, then we can start chipping away at their control and their ability to control the media narrative that is starting to disintegrate now.
Palestine, 1988. and I've been trying to go. Many times we have visited, even last year with my wife, we visited Palestine. In those years, I've seen personally, firsthand, the changes, the hardships. It was hard in 1988, but it's even harder now. When you look at the settlements, when you look at the war, when you look at the homes that are in East Jerusalem, they were all Arab, and slowly, one by one, they're being bought by big people from America and occupying East Jerusalem to make it more Jewish. Now, it is really a tragedy for the Palestinian people. I tell you that it's not just our struggle. It was also struggles of many, many people in the past. Apartheid South Africa was freed through struggle, and not just one man, but a movement that overcome this. So there are many people that may think, oh, why should I attend this peace vigil today? What impact will it do? Well, I tell you, the Prophet, peace be upon him, has said in his words, if there is an evil in the world, stop it. Stop it with your hands. Try to stop it. If you can't, try to do it with your voice. And if you can't do it with your voice, think in your heart. And the least we can do for our brothers and sisters in Palestine is think and pray for them, and pray that justice will be done one day and they will be free. Israel is not just any big power. There are many powers that have been greater in the past, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He wills, He will make it happen. But through our efforts and through our things. Nelson Mandela said, the United Nations took a strong stand against apartheid, and over the years, international consensus was built, which helped to bring an end to this iniquitous system. But we know too well that our freedom is incomplete without the freedom of the Palestinians. And he said that in 1997. I cherish the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all persons live in harmony and with equal opportunities. From the bottom of my heart, for the Palestinian people of Palestine, I pledge my support for you, Palestine, until my dying days, as long as I live. And I ask each one of you to pledge that in your hearts also today. Free, free Palestine. Love to Palestine. Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much.
First of all, thank you to the Palestinian Solidarity Committee for organizing this. It's very much needed. As you can see, every Ramadan, the Israelis, they seem to go insane actually. And there is no other word for this. If you think about it, if I told you that I'm going to take over Buckingham Palace, or we are going to take over Buckingham Palace. Why? Because my ancestors were there 2,500 years ago. Because my Bible says it is my land. What would you think? What would you think? You think I was insane. But this is exactly the situation now. This is how Israel exists. And this is exactly what Zionism is. Insanity. Taking over the lands of others, literally committing ethnic cleansing. And what we need, what we have seen in the past, is what makes a change. Women's rights, slavery, what made a change? It's when people, everyday people, decided that justice needed to be done. And this is my concept of justice, not my concept actually, this is what I was taught. That all you who believe, be just, even against yourself, even against your kith and kin, that means your family and friends, even if it is against the rich or the poor, be just. And let me tell you this, without justice there can be no peace. And peace is very much needed in this world, we know this. Peace is very much needed, even in England. Not just for refugees, but for us. in terms of our housing, in terms of our education. Peace is needed. And without that justice, there will be no peace. There will be no peace for Israel. And when will changes happen? The Jewish Board of Deputies is campaigning for the Uyghurs in China. Jewish people need to stand up. When English people stood up against slavery, that's when things changed. So we need more Jewish people to also stand up for justice, because they will have peace, we will have peace. It is not just Palestinian children who are suffering, not just Arab children or Christian or Muslim children, but Jewish children are also suffering because of this. And we need justice, a one-state solution for Israel. Thank you.
Last week, a few of us from Medway, like 12 of us, we went to Palestine during Ramadan, and we just went to see what happened over there, which is to visit the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the various cities as well. So obviously we all know it's a blessed and holy land for many of us, whether you're Christian, whether you're Muslim as well. The three Abrahamic religions is very special to us. Prophets passed through the Holy Land, Abraham, Isaac, Joseph, Moses, and Jacob, all prophets who passed through the Holy Land of Palestine. Our visit and our experience over there, it's a different culture, it's a sort of different vibe in the Blessed City. The Palestinian people themselves, they're really eager to see new faces. They love to see new faces. Their faces light up when they see you. They share their culture and their food and everything. They want you to break fast with them as well. The interest that they show in you as well, it's a genuine sort of interest. And then you have the occupation and the oppression in Palestine as well. They have restrictions on the Christians and the Muslims when it comes to worshipping. For example, the early morning prayer, the Fajr, the dawn prayer that Muslims pray. If the Palestinians want to pray, they restrict it. Why do they do this, you ask? Well, this is to facilitate the settlers who get an armed escort inside the compound of the Al-Aqsa Mosque, so the Palestinians don't cause them any sort of problems. We also visited a refugee camp. It holds over 140,000 people. These are the people that were displaced after the 1948 Nakba. Some Palestinians were born there and some died there, but they are still very hopeful that they can go back to their homes as well. We also passed through many checkpoints with armed soldiers. Some Palestinians only live 30 minutes away from Jerusalem, but have never been granted permission to enter the holy city of Jerusalem. Some Palestinians pay full taxes. They pay full taxes, but they receive zero to little benefits from the government and the local authorities. We've never come across such a group of people that are so genuine and so nice. We went to the refugee camp that we went to. We were obviously fasting at the time, and these sort of people, they have little to nothing. Yet they invited us to their house to break fast with them. Now, if you ask them, they tell you the one thing in the way that you can support them is they don't want your money. They don't want any sort of financial advances or anything like that from them. They want you to go visit them. That's the consistent thing that they have told us throughout our 4 or 5 days that we were there. To go and visit them. That's the only thing that they want. They want you to show your presence in Palestine. Show them that they are not forgotten. If you do take anything away from me today, take that it's not coming from me, that the Palestinian people want you to go visit them. Obviously, I'm not saying not to donate and whatnot. Do donate. But if you get the opportunity, absolutely do go visit them, because that is the one thing that they want you to do.
So on behalf of Kent Muslim Welfare Association, and I hope I speak for the Muslim community as well, we obviously stand here in support of the Palestinian people and the injustice and oppression which they undergo on a daily basis in their occupied land. And it has been turned for them into an apartheid state, as we all know. And they're treated as second-class or worse citizens, given unequal rights their human rights abused and trodden. Indiscriminate violence on a daily basis, whether it be men, women or children, with the utmost brutality and humiliation by an organised military and armed force. We feel their pain with every stick that they are beaten with every false arrest and imprisonment that they undergo, and with every can of tear gas they have to inhale, and with every bullet that hits them. Yet, we are forced to listen to the justification of this by the oppressive and occupying Zionist government of Israel. Somehow, we are to believe that unarmed civilians are the aggressors, often, as Sister Rizwana said, in their places of worship. Somehow, we are led to believe that they deserve it. Somehow, we are led to believe that the Israeli army, with all its batons and guns, are just defending themselves. And somehow, we are led to believe the false timelines, that actually it was the Palestinians that started the aggression against the poor and innocent Israeli army. The governments buy into it, all the Western governments buy into it, and they support this false narrative, as do the mainstream media which are the mouthpiece of Israel and the Zionists. And of course, we all know, we're here today because we know that they are lying. Their hypocrisy is so blatant that even a child can see through it. But maybe they think if they say it enough, that you will believe it. And we are here today because we don't believe it. We need to, or we will counter the Zionist narrative, and we need to tell the truth, and we need to prevail over their lies. And we are here, and we support the Palestinians and their rights to their human rights and a fair and decent lifestyle without the oppression of Israel. Thank you very much.
I think first I want to say it's been really great that we had this turnout, and it's tremendously important that there is a response to the attacks that we have seen most recently, which are getting worse, of course, because of a, quite frankly, far-right government. There's no two ways about it. That's what the government of Israel is. The kind of people who normally our governments decry and oppose. And see, the thing is, people sort of, why do we oppose Israel? Because, quite simply, because they oppress the Palestinians, the indigenous people of Palestine, and they do it because they are attempting to remove all Palestinians from the territory that they wish to occupy in its entirety. And the thing is, and of course because they're an apartheid state. Now that is apparently controversial, but the thing is this: the people that say Israel is an apartheid state include the Rapporteur for the United Nations, Human Rights Watch, the Israeli human rights organisation B'Tselem, and the people that say it isn't is the Israeli state and Western governments. And when people wonder, I mean, lots of people are very confused why it is that Israel gets away with outrageous attacks that people can see, and nothing happens. The West is silent. And the answer is very simple. It's not because our governments, like they pretend, are bystanders. They're looking from a distance and saying, well, there's not much to do with us. Because actually, the reality is that Israel only exists, it only survives because of the support of Western governments. And let's be quite clear that Western governments are not doing this out of sympathy with Jewish people. It is quite simple and cynical. Israel has a job. Its job is there to look after the interests of Western governments. And that includes, and particularly, our government. Because it is in fact our government, of course, that actually are the cause of the attacks on Palestinians. And they did it precisely in order to divide and rule. And they're still looking to divide and rule, and they're still looking to make sure that we have an armed camp in the Middle East that can look after our interests, that can make sure that the oil is in our control, that there is no interference with trade routes. That's what it's about. It is not about anything else. And it's important to say that although the Israeli state and Zionists claim they speak for all Jews, this is not the case. It never was the case. I mean, originally Zionism was a very tiny minority, and a minority to which most Jews were hostile. And the thing is that there are many Jewish people who are opposed to Israel, and they're the people who are being expelled by the Labour Party on grounds of anti-Semitism. So it's not a case that it is anti-Semitic to oppose Israel. It is anti-Semitic to attack Jewish people for opposing Israel, and that's the truth of the matter. And the thing is, we can't do much about what's happening in Israel because we're here. But we can do something about our government, because it is our government, along with other Western governments, who are absolutely responsible for everything that happens. They are not bystanders, they are absolutely 100% behind Israel and what it does. They might be embarrassed occasionally, but actually they're not going to do anything about it. And we've got to make sure that they do. That's why we're here, that's what the Palestine Solidarity Campaign is about, and what is happening, more and more people can see what's happening. They can't hide it. The more Israel does, the less attempts there are to do anything about it by Western governments. More people can see that, and so they're increasing support for Palestine. It's growing, and it will continue to grow, and we will stop it.